Aloha and welcome to today's presentation, the Firmament Mirror. Today we're talking about my theory that I have. It's not my theory, but I believe that there is a firmament. I believe that there's a solid dome, a ceiling, a vault of the heavens that wraps around and over our world, just like our ancient ancestors believed the world across. So today we're going to delve into the topic of the firmament and how the firmament, I believe, has reflective qualities so that every other cycle, every other age or eon that we go through, we're able to see it and what is reflected off of it. Back to us. Let me just check the chat, make sure everything looks good, that we're live streaming, audio's good, everyone can see me okay. All right, sweet. It looks okay. I'll check back in the chat in just a second, but I do want to jump directly into today's presentation. So before I start reading a few things, references, we're going to take a look at the word firmament and what that is. The ancients all across the world, every single culture, ancient religious belief systems, extending as far back as the beginning of written history, all believe that there is a solid structure over the earth, surrounding the earth and wrapping around it. Oftentimes it was described as being something that was made solid. And we'll see that whenever we take a look at the etymology behind the word firmament itself. They also, many of them referenced the firmament as being extremely cold. And that's how we also, that's even how academics explains the temperatures that are far up there in space, or quote unquote space. So we're going to take a look at all of that, and I'm going to tell you why I believe the firmament is made out of ice, and why that ice reflects the world below us, and what implications that has on all of us living here below. Let's see. So how is it made out of ice, by the way? So for me, the simplest answer is that the gases high up in the atmosphere, due to the pressure that's created whenever the electromagnetic barrier that surrounds our world goes back up after a neutral point, that pressure builds in those areas, which is what actually creates the dome. The gases up there, they skip from a gas phase over the liquid phase, and they turn right into a solid. It's actually the sky itself freezing over. And that's how I believe it's created. So, I'm going to jump into some sharing of some articles and some references and whatnot. This first one comes from pre-Socratic philosophers. And this is actually going to be from a book called The Pre-Socratic Philosophers, written in the 1960s. Now, this particular portion of this book says, a counterpart of Atlas says, when heaven and earth were built upon me, no one knew nothing of it. And when they came out, or when they came and cut heaven and earth asunder with a cleaver, I knew nothing of it. In the Babylonian creation epic, Marduk splits the body of the primeval water goddess Tiamat and makes one half of it into the sky. So half of this ancient titan known as Tiamat, who is highly associated with water and also ice, was cut in half according to the Enuma Elish, or the Babylonian creation epic. So Marduk splits the body of the primeval water goddess Tiamat and makes one half of it into sky, containing the celestial waters, and the other half into Apsu, the deep, or Ashara, the great abode or the firmament of the earth. This is the first stage in the composition of the world as we know it, through a secondary stage in the far older history of the Babylonian pantheon. In another, later Semitic version, Genesis 1, the primeval waters are similarly divided. And I believe that's going to come up here, but basically it says, God said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters. We're going to take a look at that word next. And let it divide the waters from the waters. And God made the firmament, and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament. And it was so. And God called the firmament heaven. So I want to go back to this concept of Tiamat. I just last night watched the new Kong versus Godzilla. I don't know what the title of it is, but in that movie, Godzilla goes off and he fights all these different titans. One of those titans, and this is all symbolic of the world that we live in. It's just that the Titans and Godzilla and Kong, they all are cartoonified concepts of ancient truths. They're basically comic book versions of hidden and forgotten history, or what I call ancient oblivion. All right, let me check back in on the chat. Everything looks good? Hey, Hayden's Music. Welcome to the Good Vibe Tribe. Hayden's Music. Good to see you. All right, looks like everybody's good in the chat. I don't see any red flags, so let's continue on. Let's check out the word firmament. I'm going to read this to you so that you can get a grasp of what firmament means. Now, the root of it is the word firm, or, you know, the word that we call today firm, right? Firm meaning strong, strengthened, solid. So from the mid-13th century, it says here, I'm at etymonline.com, expanse of space above the earth where the heavenly bodies move, hence the arch or the vault of the heavens, the visible sky. The arch implying the dome, or one of the domes, and the vault of the heavens. A vault implying something is sealed off, a sealed system, a closed system, academically speaking, which is what we live in. The arch or the vault of the heavens, the visible sky. From the Old French, firmament, or directly from Latin, firmamentum. Firmament, literally a support, a strengthening, right? Mente at the end sometimes adds action to nouns, so it's the making of something that was firm or something that had been made firm, right? So something that was previously not firm but had been made firm. From firmus or firmus, strong, steadfast, and enduring. From the suffix Proto-Indo-European root word ter, which means to hold firmly and to support. Let's see, it goes on to say, used in the late Latin in the Vulgate to translate Greek sterioma, which means firm or solid structure, which translated in Hebrew is rakia, a word used of both the vault of the sky and the floor of the earth in the Old Testament, probably literally meaning expanse or something that expanded. From raka, to spread out, but in the Syriac meaning to make firm or solid. So to make something firm or solid, implying that it had not been that way prior to. Something that was not in the solid form, something that was in a liquid form or a gas form initially. Hence the erroneous translation, it goes on to say. All right, so that is the etymology of the word firmament. Basically, it means solid. It means a physical object. It doesn't imply or mean, neither has it ever, gases or just air that's unending, going off into nothing, which is the modern concept of space. So it's a container, and that helps me to understand why we have weather and pressure systems and atmospheric pressure and weather patterns, because we live within a closed system that is physically closed off with a physical barrier or a container that keeps that pressure physically held in place in our world. Makes much more sense to me than the academic modern version, which is some invisible force called gravity pulling everything in but allowing some other things to leave. There's too many questions that are not answered by that particular gravitational response. All right, let's see. Next up, so the firmament. Let's see. I'm going to read a couple things about the firmament here. So at the beginning, we saw that in the Bible, it says that God separated the waters from the waters. So we automatically have an association with water up there, high in the heavens, way above the clouds, way above things like that, but way up towards space, or what we would call in the modern day space. There's water up there, according to the ancient scriptures, not just the Bible, but others as well. But the Bible is probably the more well-known of all of them. We have an association with water, just like Tiamat in the Babylonian creation epic. Genesis associates the heavens with water. The Enuma Elish associates the heavens with water. Once again, water is up there. Now, if water is up there, in whatever form, and it's freezing cold, negative, 400 degrees or whatnot, and there's all of that pressure, it seems likely to me and reasonable to assume that that water would freeze. All right, let me check out what else we got here with firmament. So let's see. I'm looking at Wikipedia right now. It goes over the word rakia. Now, let's look at Near Eastern cosmology. And the cuneiform talks about the Enuma Elish, as we just did, the book of Isaiah and Psalms. Let's see, the Egyptian cosmology. So in the Egyptian cosmology, there was the goddess Nut. And Nut was a sky goddess, which was shown as sort of bending over or bowing over the earth. And that was the dome. It says here in ancient Egyptian texts, and from texts across the Near East generally, the firmament was described as having special doors, or gateways, on the eastern and western horizons to allow for the passage of heavenly bodies during their daily journeys. So I want to comment on that. There is a door and a gateway, at the very least one. I'm sure there's probably more. But there's one main one. There's a gate of God. There's a gate of the heavens. There's a central portion. And that gate is at the main entrance. It's at the apex. It's at the center of the firmament itself, directly above the North Pole, on a world that's looking like this one to my left over here. There's a hole that opens up in the sky, in the heavens. Occasionally, all the pressure in our world builds up, and whenever we go through a neutral point in a polarity shift, the magnetic force that the world puts out disappears. That magnetism, it helps to put pressure on all of the gases that are diamagnetic or repelled against a magnetic force, right? So all these gases that are being pushed in and pressed in by that magnetism of the earth, when that magnetism lets go and releases it, all of those gases rush to the apex and they essentially punch a hole out, and the top of the dome explodes, creating a gate or a passageway or a sipapu or the gate of the gods, etc. Let's see. These were known as gates, windows, windows to the heavens, stargates, etc. The Egyptian texts particularly say that these gates also served as conduits between the earthly and the heavenly realms, for which righteous people could ascend. That is how people get into the heavens. You can't just float through the firmament. Otherwise, plasma would go through the firmament, electricity would, the firmament keeps everything locked in, souls and all. On the other side of that is what people typically call or would associate with heaven or the heavens, or what I call the fractal verse, because I believe that I believe that space, or what we think of as space beyond the firmament, is actually bright and it's electric in nature. There's a lot of plasma and a lot of dark lights and neon lights and stuff out there. It's beautiful, and there's lots of other realms. Now it goes on to say, Egyptian texts, particularly these gates, also served as conduits between earthly and heavenly realms. Heavenly realms are other earths, to me, that are out there in the heavens. Other places of experience, just like ours. The gateways could be blocked by gates to prevent entry into by the deceased as well. So those gates are opened. There's a time when those gates are opened, and there's a time when those gates are closed. And that time, I believe, is the apocalypse, which means to uncover or to open up. As such, funerary texts include prayers enlisting the help of the gods to enable the safe ascent of the dead. Ascent into the celestial realm could also be done by a celestial ladder made by the gods. This ladder is the blue beam that I talk about. It's the tree of life. It's the axis mundi. It's terrestrial plasma that shoots up out of the earth from Mount Meru. And there's electricity that goes back and forth between these various plasma volcanoes that are all up there at the North Pole. And it creates an electrical arc between all of them. And it looks like a ladder that goes all the way up to the heavens, and electricity runs up and down it. So it's seen as the angels going up and down. And, or if it's the Norse tree, Yggdrasil, then it's seen as like squirrels or animals running up and down the tree. Let's see here. 4 different Egyptian models of the firmament and or heavenly realm are known. One model was that it was the shape of a bird, which is the cosmic bird, which is that blue beam that shoots up. It splits off towards the top, spreading its wings or extending its arms or creating a hammer shape, a cruciform shape, a T shape, and so on. Let's see. Represented the underside of a flying falcon, the sun and the moon representing its eyes and flapping that causes wind. So that's the zephyr. The wind that's associated with this cosmic bird that's at the center of the earth, the phoenix and the thunderbird and all these things. It's associated with the wind. It's also Mothra as well. Speaking of Godzilla movies. But the reason it's associated so strongly with the wind, especially the Arctic winds or the septentrion winds, is because there's winds that come up out of the earth. The earth breathes. And there's pressure differentials between the surface where we live and the inside of the earth. And when that pressure is released, you get wind. And it's usually a warm wind, actually, which helps to warm the surrounding area, which is why Hyperborea and the Garden of Eden are so warm, and they can be located at the North Pole. The second was a cow. The second depiction was a cow. And we're still on Egyptian. As per the Book of the Heavenly Cow. The cosmos is a giant celestial cow represented by the goddess Nut, or Hathor. Hey, what's up, Yubi? The cow consumed the sun in the evening and rebirthed it the next morning. Now, I want to talk about this cow deal, okay? So, one, we have that terrestrial beam of energy that shoots up and spreads its arms. That's seen as this stick figure, this squatter man, or the Atlas pose, right? But the head of that figure, sometimes it's shown as headless, sometimes it's shown as a circle. It's depicted in many ways, but that circle, I believe, is an inverted dome at the apex of the firmament. So you can look at the firmament as a bowl that covers the earth from above. But at the center of that bowl, it bends inward towards us. And in doing so, it creates the eye in the sky. It creates the all-seeing eye, which is directly above Mount Meru, which is a plasma volcano, which is also an unfinished pyramid, which is why we have the eye in the sky always above an unfinished pyramid. So anyways, that inverted dome up there, it's lit up. It's lit up by the ionized hydrogen on the other side of it, which is a red spectrum color. So it glows red. So those who believe that heavenly bodies up there in the skies are spherical in nature, when they see this dome facing down at them, many of them will believe that it is, if they look up at it, they'll see a circle, and they'll likely believe that it's a planet, Nibiru, which is the red planet that visits every so often or makes its appearance. That's us being able to see the firmament. But the cow portion is whenever it turns into a crescent. So that same light up there, that light that in Egyptian is depicted as a circle with all of these lines with hands at the ends of them coming off of them, right? It's called Aten. And that's plasma. So the plasma comes down into our world and it gives life to inanimate objects. It's basically spirit that seeks to incorporate itself, or it seeks out a body to possess. Let's see. So that's the whole cow thing, is whenever you see Nibiru in its crescent mode. Okay, because that same thing up there goes into cycles exactly like our moon, which is why our moon does that, because it's a projection of the primordial and quintessential hump up there in the sky, or mound, or the inverted dome that's at the apex of the actual firmament, which is where we get Humpty Dumpty from as well. That's why it's called Humpty Dumpty. It's not just gibberish. It's a hump upside down above us, made of ice, a part of the sky, a part of the firmament, that falls occasionally. So that the sky breaks, the sky falls. That hump dumps and it shatters onto the earth and breaks into icebergs and gives us a little mini ice age all around the northern hemisphere. And the king's men and the king's horses can't put it back together again, but nature can. Nature makes a new Humpty Dumpty up there in the sky whenever those gases refreeze into the shape of the magnetic field that's over our world. Let's see, what was it? So we talked about the cow. what else is it? We got the third is the celestial woman, also represented by Nut. The heavenly bodies would travel across her body from east to west. The midriff of Nut was supported by Shu, the air god, and Geb, the earth god. Oh, the Humpty Dumpty thing. I also wanted to comment on that. So that inverted dome up there, Nibiru, etc. I believe that's the actual, so far, that's the best candidate for the actual moon that causes the projection of itself into our sky that we call the moon, which is the luminary. If that's true, the ancient moon or moon god was called Sin, or you could say Sheen, right? So sin, obviously we would associate that with the biblical concept of falling from grace, or a light falling from the heavens, or Lucifer, or, things of that nature. Now, when that happens, the beams of this world retract and they go down. So our world loses energy for the next age. That's the age that we're in now, which is also known as the season of Satan, or Satan's little season. That's whenever all of the good energy, terrestrial energy, positively charged energy in our world, retracts, and it is charging down into the heart of the earth, waiting to be released once more up to the surface and be shared with us once more. That moon was called Sin. The mountain of the moon, which looks just like this, and that's exactly how the Garden of Eden looks too. The mountain, more colorful and stuff. The mountain of the moon, which is also right there, is in the center of the world. It's Mount Meru, or Rupus Nigra. It's got many different names. It's a holy mountain. It's the mountain of the gods. It's the mountain of congregation. It's a mountain of meeting place and gatherings, and it's always directly under the real moon. That's why in fiction, fantasy, and movies, you'll see the mountain symbolism directly under a full moon almost always. When it's not, it could be a crescent as well, because, like I said, it goes through cycles. But the other word for sin is sheen. It's just a different pronunciation. Sheen, if you look at the letters, the letter sh in ancient Hebrew or Phoenician or Paleo-Hebrew, sh implies, it's a picture for teeth, and it means to destroy. Just like teeth, destroy things in the mouth, it means to destroy. The nun, or the n sound of sheen, the n sound is life. It's actually, it looks like plasma, basically. It looks like a little ball of plasma with a little electric tail behind it, or a seed, if you'd like to see it in that respect. But it means life. So, the destroyer of life, or the eater of life, being that the sh sound is also the picture of teeth. So the eater of life. Now, if that's the real moon up there, this could give rise and meaning. This could give meaning to the concept that the moon eats souls. That the moon, some people have heard that, this theory that the moon is goes around sucking up souls, and that it's a reincarnation machine and things of that nature. It's basically Pac-Man, right? Like the moon's basically Pac-Man. But it's the eater of the dead. It's the eater of the souls. That's because whenever a hole blows open in that moon, or that inverted dome that's at the very top up there, sometimes it'll say gate of the heavens. Then the moon, the real one, the physical substance behind the projected image, it sucks up all of the aurora borealis and all of the gases and all of the electricity that are up there in that area, and they leave this world. They go into heaven. They go into the heavens. So all of the souls that have gone up there, just like in ancient native and Inuit belief systems, they believed, many of them believed that the aurora borealis is a river of souls, essentially. And that river would be one of the first things that leaves this world. They're the firstborn of the dead. They leave. They're out. Because they're the closest to the depressurization point. Let's see. What else we got? I'm just going to kind of skip through this part. Oh, early Greek cosmology. Let's check that out. Prior to the systematic study of the cosmos by the Ionian school, which is the word ion, the Ionian school in the city of Miletus in the 6th century BC, the early Greek conception of cosmology was closely related to that of Near Eastern cosmology and envisioned a flat earth with a solid firmament above the earth, supported by pillars. These pillars are these terrestrial beams of light that I was telling you about that erupt through cavernous systems and volcanoes the world across, and they're seen as these poles that prop up the heavens and keep them from falling down during a time whenever optics in our atmosphere had changed in such a way as to magnify those projections and points of focus and lights and stars and planets and stuff to make them look much bigger and therefore closer than they really were. So some people were afraid that the sky, the entire firmament was just going to all fall on top of them. But there's also optical effects to consider. Kimma, what's up, Kimma? Hey, thanks for your support. I want to thank everybody for your support, by the way. Everyone that's donated through PayPal this week and got hooked up with some sweet deals over on my website. I just want to say thanks. I super appreciate all of your support. All right, let's see. Let's continue on. And then it goes into saying that, there's others that basically rejected that idea, and it gets into the spherical. We're going to skip all that. Let's see. I think, oh, here we go. Yes, this is good. Check this out. So there was a man named Bede, or Bede, also known as Saint Bede, or the Venerable Bede. He was an English monk, an author, and a scholar. He was one of the greatest teachers and writers during the early Middle Ages. His most famous work was the Ecclesiastical History of the English People. Bede reasoned, check this out, Bede reasoned that the waters might be held, he reasoned that the waters might be held in place, those waters up above, if they were frozen solid. The Sidrum Caelum, the heaven of the celestial bodies, was made firm. The waters froze. In the midst of the waters, so should be interpreted as having the firmness of crystalline stone, which is also how the sky is often described, especially in Native American legends and various tribal legends of the world across. They sometimes will say that the sky was made out of stone, or some people would say metal or something. But it's ice was basically seen as like a type of stone. It was like stone water, basically. All right, next up, let's see what else we got. I think that's cool that guy says that too. I'm just gonna search for the word solid. I want to see what this says about solid real quick. So I typed in solid, and I'm just doing a quick search. It says a solid structure, a solid expanse, solid and supporting waters that are above it and containing the waters below it. Let's see. Many of the ancients, especially those who are biblical prophets, it says, included a flat and likely disc-shaped world with a solid firmament. So they're solid once more again. Some people speculate that the firmament itself was actually flat, but then that begs the question, what's suspending it? What's keeping it held up? I'm not saying that's impossible, but with the movement of, the heavenly bodies and whatnot, I'm leaning towards more of a dome shape myself. Or something that's similar to a dome shape. There's actually a few different types of domes up there. But the main one, the firmament, is definitely this shape right here. All right, now, what else we got here? This guy says he believed that it was also ice. I think that's cool. The rabbis viewed the heavens to be a solid object, ancient Jewish lore, spread over the earth, which was described in the biblical Hebrew word for the firmament, which is rakia. Two images were used to describe it, either a dome or as a tent, which is how it's described all throughout the Bible. As for its composition, just as in cuneiform literature, the rabbinic texts describe that the firmament was made out of a solid form of water. So let me read that part again. As for its composition, this is talking about Jewish ancient historic beliefs about the firmament. Just as in the cuneiform literature, the text of the rabbis, described that the firmament was made out of a solid form of water. Not just the conventional liquid water known on Earth. That's funny that they just avoid saying it's made out of ice, which is obvious. Like, that's what it would be made out of, right? So it's made out of ice. All right, I'm skipping through here once more, and then we're going to move on to leave Wikipedia. Let's see. What does this say? No, I'm going to skip that. Okay. I think I'm just going to go ahead and move on to the next one here. All right, we're leaving Wikipedia because I think we all get the point of that. Next up, God said, let there be a firmament, or a hardening, right, to make firm. Let there be a hardening. I like that translation better, actually. Let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters, is a verse from the Bible, Genesis 1:6. Now, next up, I'm going to talk to you about the Norse, a central character in Norse creation. In the Norse legends, the creation legends, there was a god known as Ymir, Y-M-I-R. Excuse me. So, Ymir. Now, something of interest about Ymir is he was Adam Kadmon. He was the first man being, or human-like being. He was a giant, or a titan. If you could even call it that. He was much bigger than even a titan would be considered today. Ymir was also considered to be the first of the frost giants. Now, this is very interesting. Ymir is Atlas. Ymir is this stick figure, this cosmic man that people see in the sky, which is a light that emanates and is born from the earth, shooting up into the heavens, spreading its arms. And then, like I said, right above it is often that inverted dome, which goes through its cycles and can have that crescent shape, giving us the holy cow. Basically, that's exactly where that comes from, holy cow. Giving us the holy bull, or the celestial bull, or the cosmic bull, cow, however you want to see it. And Ymir suckled from that cow. That's how he nourished himself. He was directly beneath it, and you can find paintings and pictures of Ymir suckling from this cosmic cow. The cow's name was Audumbla, or Albombla? No, Audumbla. Odumbla, something of that nature. Now, check this out. Ymir was basically born and created from the clash between Muspelheim and Niflheim, right? These are different realms in Norse mythology, which is, to me, different parts of our world, because I don't believe in like the concept of space and all of that stuff as it's traditionally taught. I believe that our enclosed system, for the most part, was what was being described whenever the ancients described like the cosmos and whatnot. However, there are exceptions to that. I will admit that. But Ymir was born from a clash between Muspelheim, which is the land of fire, essentially, and Niflheim, which is the land of frost in Norse mythology, or associated with fire and frost, fire and ice. So when fire and ice come together celestially, they create Ymir. Ymir is born. The fire world is the ionized hydrogen that's above the firmament itself. So the firmament, the ice firmament, the physical structure, keeps out celestial plasma that's out there in the fractalverse, wrapping around our world and providing light to our world as well. Speaking of lights, sorry. So Muspelheim is the realm of fire. So that heavenly fire that is up there, that even the Bible and the Quran, they talk about, many other books too, they talk about fire descending from the heavens. It's not talking about lightning per se, as we're used to it coming from local clouds that are just above our heads. This is coming from the heavens, from space. These are cosmic thunderbolts of the gods, way up on high, right? And this is during a time whenever our atmosphere was electrically charged to that degree as well. That's why I don't see it today. So Ymir is born whenever the fire meets the ice. Whenever the fire meets the ice and they're allowed to intermingle and they're not kept separate from one another, that's whenever that electromagnetic barrier goes down during the neutral point of a polarity shift of Earth, right? So that invisible barrier or magnetism just goes away. The plasma that's repelled by that magnetism strikes and it hits the ice dome or the moon, causing craters and holes in our sky, in the actual firmament itself, which allows that light to snake its way into our world and gives the appearance of the stars falling in pink lines, exactly how it's portrayed in Under the Dome by Stephen King. Also, I just want to say this because I've seen the pictures pop up. I don't want to forget the concept. I want to mention two things. I'm going to take a quick time out and mention two different important things. If the heavens are made out of pure ice, if the firmament is made out of pure ice, then whenever the light shoots up at it, and that light is no longer coming down at us, blinding us from the darkness that's just behind it, right? Like a flashlight in the dark of night, and when someone puts that in your face, you can't see what's behind it. So whenever we go through a polarity shift and the terrestrial light shoots up from the earth, all across the earth, wherever there are cavernous openings, it will light up the heavens. The firmament will be seen, I believe. And if that happens, it will reflect, being pure ice, whatever is below it. What is below it is this. It's the world itself. So this helps me to answer the question, how did ancient cartographers, many of whom admit freely, I've never even left my own country, right? How did they put together such accurate, detailed maps of our world? One possibility is that the very firmament itself, frozen over, reflects it, just as clear glass would reflect it. And that's also another name. People say the highest, hardest glass ceiling as being the limit. The sky is the limit. The firmament is the limit. That's as far as you can go until permission is given by God, or it seems like it's given by God because God opens the gate that is in the east, which is up. The eastern gate is opened by God during the apocalypse. It opens up and allows all of that snaking, serpentine, red spectrum plasma to come in, electrocute things, set things on fire and whatnot during an apocalyptic Ragnarok situation. But anyways, the heavens reflect down to us our very own world. So people could look up at the heavens and they could see different parts of our world and just draw them, right? The problem is it would be obscured. Okay, there's different parts to the firmament itself, and there's anomalies on the firmament as well. Remember I said that there's holes because the cosmic thunderbolts of the god, they discharge onto the firmament and they blast holes in it and whatnot. So there's anomalies. And whenever you have an anomaly in a lens, it creates an aberration, or it creates a disfigurement of the image that it's reflecting. So if ancient cartographers looked up into the heavens and began to draw the world and map it out, we should expect there to be some anomalies, some disfiguring of the very world that we live on, especially when it's further away from their home. Now, that being said, I believe that the main firmament itself is, what is it? Concave, I think is the right word for that. It's open on the bottom, so it would be a cavity inside, or cave. So concave, but that at the middle, like I said, there's the Humpty Dumpty portion, the eye in the sky that looks down on us, that is convex. And I believe there's other portions to it too. I just don't want to get too deep and confuse anybody. So I want to start simple with one shaped like that and the other shaped inverted towards us, right? Those themselves being totally different would give off different shapes. To give you a simple example, take a spoon. If you look at the curved side of the spoon that curves away from you, then you will see your image upside down and inverted, I believe. So if they looked at the main portion of the firmament towards the outside, then they should see an inverted form of the world below and upside down version of the world below. So that's another example of some problems they could face with accuracy. But if they looked at the inverted dome at the center point, the eye in the sky, then they would see they would act as one of those mirrors. You ever see those like security mirrors at stores or something, and it's just a dome mirror that faces down towards you? That's exactly how it would act, right? And those mirrors are used in stores and stuff because you can see the entire store just by looking at this one little dome mirror in a central portion of it. It reflects the whole entire thing. So the heavens itself would act as a mirror for ancient cartographers to map out the entire world without ever having to leave home. And they could also touch base with, other cartographers and other places who can possibly, get a different perspective from where they are on the ground. Sendinger, hey, welcome to my channel. All right, the second thing I wanted to say, there's the never-ending story right there, is related to the never-ending story. It's related to Alice in Wonderland. It's related to the Matrix movies. I'm sure many of you have seen or read, like one of my favorite authors, his name is Terry Goodkind. He passed away in the past few years, but he wrote an amazing book series called The Sword of Truth. And in one of those book series, they talk about how these entities, these bad guys, physical humans, pass through mirrors. And there's this mirror portal symbolism, right? Going through the mirror. We don't go through physical mirrors. Physical doesn't walk through the physical typically, right? I'm not saying there's not ways to like make it happen or anything. I'm saying, let's suppose that the mirror is a symbolic element for something that is reflective. So the mirror is a cartoonified version of something that's reflective, which is the firmament, that on special occasions, the one or somebody can pass through it. Okay, this is going through the mirror, stepping through the looking glass, which is entering into the heavens and wonderland and strange places and other worlds and whatnot. So that is what I believe to be the point of NASA and the point of SpaceX and all of these people, which are the world's super rich and elite. They're doomsday preppers getting ready to blast off, leave this world, travel through the looking glass, through the mirror to escape the apocalypse, to leave this world so that they're not here. All the people that have taken advantage of all of us during a time when telepathy is reintroduced whenever our atmosphere is electrically charged once again, and people's auras can basically be seen by many others and whatnot. So they leave and they get out of here and they go to the heavens, somewhere else basically. All right. Anyways, that's Ymir. Ymir is also a form. Ymir and the cow, the holy cow. That's also. Wow, there's like a cow right there in the middle of that map. Did you see that? Hold on, go back there. Where is that map? Damn it. It's on random right now. There was totally a cow in the middle of that map. That was interesting. All right, I don't want to get too off topic. Anyways, Ymir and him suckling that holy cow, that's the same thing as Paul Bunyan and Babe, if you're here in the Americas. Paul Bunyan and Babe, the Titan, the Atlas figure, and then the holy cow, the ox in the sky, the cosmic ox or bull, and whatnot. Let's see if I have anything else on Ymir that I feel like sharing right now. Basically, all you need to know about Ymir, his head. So the different parts of Ymir's body created the physical world that we live in. That blue beam is the energy of the earth. It's plasma, which is the first state of matter, in my opinion, which can become all of the other things, gases and solids and other things. Ymir, which is Adam Kadmon, which is the tree of life, and all of those other things, helped to create the physical world. They say that Ymir, the frost giant's skull, became the heavens, became the sky. Let me see if I could just find that real quick. I'm going to do a sky search here. Oops. One moment. Let's see. Oh, here we go. So this is a conversation between Odin and Valfbrunir. So Odin basically asks where first came the earth and the sky. And the giant responds to him saying, out of Ymir's flesh was fashioned the earth, and the mountains were made of his bones, the sky from the frost-cold giant's skull, and the ocean out of his blood. So the skull of Ymir, this frost giant, is said to basically be the sky or the firmament. It's the head of Ymir, which I thought that was pretty interesting to note. I don't think I really want to share much else on Ymir. I'm just glancing over the things that I really wanted to make a point about. Yes. Odin, by the way, is the one eye above Ymir. Okay, so that's that one circle that's up there in the sky, which is the depressurization point. All right, let's move on. Next up, we've got the Chinese version, the Chinese cosmology, called Gaitian, which is canopy of heaven. The sky is a hemisphere. The earth is a disk at the bottom surrounded by water, which rotates around the North Pole once a day. And the sun traces a circle in the hemisphere, the size of which varies on the seasons. So even in China, they have a similar case. Let's see, what's this next one? Oh, Tian. Okay, so check this out. So the Chinese heaven, the oldest version of it, is called Gai Tian, which means canopy of heaven. But the word Tian is how I'm going to pronounce it. The word Tian had a glyph, an ancient glyph, which was a stick figure of a person. Why would a stick figure of a person be used as a glyph for the sky? Because there was seen a giant stick figure person in the sky in ancient times, which was the quintessential original savior figure, godlike being, the god of the heavens, the god of the sky, the god of weather, the god of wind, and so on and so forth. And it's a stick figure. You could look it up. Man, I don't want to change all the pictures that I have right now, but if you look it up, you'll see it's basically the Squatter Man stick figure. And it's called Tian, Tian. Check that out. Now, let's read about this for just a second. Let's see. In Taoism and Confucianism, Tian, the celestial aspect of the cosmos, is translated as heaven, is mentioned in relationship to its complementary aspect of Di, which is translated as earth. Let's see. There are thought to be maintain two poles of the three realms of reality. There's a middle realm occupied by occupied by humanity. That would be Middle Earth. And the lower world occupied by demons, which is called Mo, and ghosts and the damned. That's the underworld. Tian was variously thought as a supreme power reigning over lesser gods and human beings that brought order and calm or catastrophe and punishment. A deity, a destiny, an impersonal force that controls events, a holy world or afterlife containing other worlds or afterlives, or one or more of these. So it's basically this quintessential stick figure man. If you're into creepypasta, the Chinese oracle script version of it for the word heaven looks exactly like Siren Head, if you know who Siren Head is. Let's see. Anything else in the old Chinese that I really wanted to share? No, I'm going to move on from Chinese. The Enuma Elish we talked about. Tiamat creates the first gods with Apsu, which is the personification of fresh water. That would be the fresh water that's created straight out of gas up there in the atmosphere. And this is all depicted in the new Godzilla movie too, just so you know. Now, I'm going to go over a list about ancient records of cultures and religions and even fictitious allusions to the sky being made of ice or being reflective. So we start with ancient Egyptian cosmology. This comes from ChatGPT. Please don't criticize any of the sources. What I do is I take what resonates with me. I'm not just because I quote from ChatGPT or Wikipedia or whatnot. It's just to give us fodder, like food for thought. You know what I mean? Something to work with and go off of. I'm not like endorsing it and saying it's absolutely true. Why are all the pictures upside down? Did I do that? No way. Are all the pictures upside down? I must have done that. Okay, my bad. I didn't even know. Hopefully they're fine now. Are they fine now? Yes. Okay, we're good. They're all reversed too. I don't care, whatever. How interesting. Okay, anyways, let's continue on. Ancient Egyptian cosmology. The goddess Nut, who represents the sky, overarching the earth. In Babylonian mythology, the Enuma Elish describes the sky as a solid dome created by the god Marduk from the body of the defeated sea monster Tiamat. So, the ocean. The sky is made out of water. Greek philosophy. Anaximenes of Miletus believed that the sky was a solid dome of crystal. Crystal is also another description that people will often use to describe it. So crystalline, stone, sometimes metallic. Basically, it's a hardened substance, right? I believe it's ice. In the Hebrew Bible, Genesis 1:6-8 says the firmament, or the rakia, separates the waters above from the waters below. The waters in between became hardened, I believe. And I believe that there is actually liquid waters just inside that's upside down from us, up above us. There's an ocean up there, basically, that it's possible for that to happen, and that there may be waters on the other side as well. Because that ice is being warmed on the other side by ionized hydrogen, remember. Let's see what else we got here. Ancient Chinese astronomy, the concept of Tian, the sky or the heavens, was sometimes imagined as a solid dome or a mirror. Myths and legends. Norse mythology, the sky is made from the skull of the giant Ymir, supported by 4 dwarves, and sometimes described as a crystalline dome. I won't get too much into the things that surround Mount Meru, but I will say that the images are reversed. I did not press anything. I don't know why all the images are backwards now. That's crazy. What happened? What did I do? I don't know what I did. I don't know. Forget it. Anyways, my point is that there's other plasma volcanoes. There's the whole island up there is magnetic in nature. It's upside down again. What is going on over here? What did I do? Damn, I messed these pictures up or something. I don't know. Hold on. Let me I don't know what happened. There's the heavens. See that? It says this is the gate of the heavens. Anyways, I'm off track. Forget that. Let's continue. Hindu mythology. In some interpretations, the dome of the sky is imagined as a reflective surface likened to a celestial mirror. In Maori mythology, the sky god Rangunui is sometimes described as a vast reflective surface separated from the earth by the god Tene. In Polynesian mythology, some traditions describe the sky as a solid dome, sometimes likened to a shell or a reflective surface. In the Inuit mythology, the sky is often described as a dome of ice or ice-like, extremely cold and reflecting the Arctic landscape. In fiction now, we go to Tolkien's Legendarium. In the Silmarillion, which is like the beginning of the Lord of the Rings, the whole creation story, the world is encased in a firmament made of a material resembling glass or crystal. In C.S. Lewis's The Chronicles of Narnia, in The Voyage of the Dawn Treader, the sky above Aslan's country is described as a dome of glass or crystal. Now that I think about it, this is also sort of portrayed in The Neverending Story Part 2, when the other kid, he has to cross this sea of like crystalline, it's basically acid though, which I believe that there could be acid up there too, like liquid form acid. Jules Verne's Journey to the Center of the Earth describes a subterranean world with a sky-like expanse that is reflective and crystalline. In Philip K. Dick's Ubik, the novel features alternative realities where the sky is described as a solid, reflective barrier. If you follow My Truth in Movies, they also portrayed this. I mean, they do this all the time in the movies, but magnificently so in Three Body Problem. So if you saw that whole Three Body Problem breakdown that I did, I shared with you screenshots and moving, parts of the movie or whatever, where it showed the firmament opened up, or they showed the firmament basically symbolically. It was the firmament, and it reflected the land below it. And they even had an eye in the sky, right in the middle. Same thing, the inverted dome. In Isaac Asimov's Nightfall, he describes a planet with multiple suns and a sky that at times appears reflective and crystalline. We also have other sources. Medieval Christian cosmology, the concept of the firmament was often depicted in art as a solid, crystalline sphere. Islamic cosmology, some interpretations describe the 7 heavens as layered, crystalline spheres. Now, remember I said I don't want to get too deep into it, but I believe that the whole shape, as I was discussing, actually continues on until it makes 7 of those heavens. In Mayan cosmology, the sky is often depicted in art as a solid dome, sometimes with reflective qualities. In Dante's Divine Comedy, he describes the heavens as crystalline spheres in the structure of the cosmos. This would be the crystalline nature of it would be that it's reflective. This is also shown off the top of my head in the movie Labyrinth. Remember that old movie Labyrinth, that cult classic? In the movie Labyrinth, there's a scene where the main character, Sarah, she's transported up into the heavens, into the stars, basically, and she's in this snow globe, this crystal ball. Really, she's in glass. Okay, she's in the ice up there, and she's having this ballroom dance with all of these people, who most of which are wearing white, which many of those beings that descend from the skies are white. She's up there in this ballroom. There's this whole masquerade dance happening. And then she shatters the wall, which is made out of glass. And whenever this happens, buoyancy kicks in and some people are all floating around and stuff. And then she eventually falls back down to the earth and lands in a big old pile of rubble and debris, which represents the junkyard world that we will experience whenever all that rubble and debris that gets sucked up during atmospheric depressurization and increased buoyancy the world across, when the stuff that doesn't make it out of our firmament, that stuff will float back down and create huge mountains of junk and garbage and debris and whatever leftovers, from the modern age. And that's where she lands. That's directly where she lands after the glass breaks, basically. That's also like the moon. It's kind of like she was in the moon, but it's like the real moon. Anyways, I don't get too off track. Arthurian legends. The Lady of the Lakes realm is sometimes described as having a sky-like surface or glass or crystal. And these are all different examples. I want to share with you a picture. I guess I will do some screen sharing here. We're going to wrap things up, but I first want to share this picture with you guys real quick here. There we go. So I want to show you the difference between a convex reflection and a concave reflection, going back to the ancient cartography subject. All right, boom, here we go. One moment. Oh, that did not work. Oh, snap, I moved everything. All right, hold on one second. So finicky. All right, there we go. So as you can see, I'm just going to stick it up here. This right here is convex, okay? So this is an inverted dome. When I talk about the eye in the sky, the inverted dome, Humpty Dumpty, this is what is in the center. This over here is concave, and this would represent the actual shape of the firmament in the majority of it, all right, the larger portion around the outside. But right in the middle, this actually is right in the middle of this. It's a little hump right in the middle. And these are the different types of reflections that they give off. So this eye in the sky is just like I said at the shopping malls when they have that dome mirror, you can see the entire place all the way across. It's warped, but you can see everything. And then the concave version, which would be the entire firmament itself, is very like spread out, and it also has its own version of being warped. And I believe that things in the middle would appear smaller too. So we would have cartographers would have to deal with that and try to reverse engineer it. Now here's the spoon scenario I was showing you earlier. These are reflections from convex and concave surfaces. The one on the left would be the spoon is facing away from you, or the opening of the spoon faces away from you. And then when you flip it around, the image becomes inverted and upside down, which is exactly what we see when we look at the moon. All the craters and all the images and all that stuff that's on the moon is inverted color-wise, and it's upside down, which is why I theorize that those craters that are on the moon are actually domes, because the image is inverted. Let's see, was that it? Yeah, that was pretty much it. I'm not going to share that particular one here. All right, boom. So, just to wrap up, I believe that the firmament itself exists, that there's a solid container over our sky, and that container is made out of ice, which is reflective, and whenever the earth shines light up at it, we can see ourselves, right? This is also reflected in the love chapter in the Bible, where it says, we see now in a mirror dimly, but soon the time will come when we will know just as we are known, which to me implies that we will be able to see our very world. We'll come face to face with ourselves. We'll see the heavens above us, and everything will change. So I hope you enjoyed this presentation of the firmament mirror, and my theories and ideas and my research that I love sharing with others. Until next time, I'm JayDreamerZ saying good vibes and goodbye.
Cool.